Hi, I'm Kate Madden. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, but today I find myself in Montreal, Quebec. I just landed after a 4-hour flight. I can feel the airplane coming out of me in my skin. I can't wait to get in the shower, but first I wanted to capture this. Being in Montreal is kind of an odd sensation for me, in that this is where I'm going to come to eventually get bottom surgery. And for most trans people in Canada, there's just one surgeon that does the surgeries here. Although I know there's been expansion in Toronto and Vancouver and Winnipeg, and that's great, but as far as the funded programs go, which I belong to in Alberta at this point still, Montreal is the one. There's been some changes made in provincial policy last week. I don't know what they are because they didn't announce it. A friend of mine got screwed over, and I suspect that I'm also going to have a delay in my surgery as well. I had anticipated next year in 2020 to have bottom surgery, and I suspect based on what I'm reading online and messages that it's probably going to be a 2021 or 2022 surgery date now, unless I go to Thailand. I'm here for 4 days for work, not for anything medically related, and I'll just try to put something together here, some semblance of a cool video about my time in Montreal. I hope you enjoy, I hope you like, and I hope you get to see some of the sights of Montreal as I experience them. Thanks for watching. If there's one thing I've noticed about my time in Montreal, my previous times in Montreal, is that there's art everywhere and music from around every corner. Live musicians, buskers, artwork, murals, sculptures, and it seems to be very much a fabric of the local community. It's something that I don't notice in Western Canada for sure. You know, Toronto's too cold in terms of its personality, and I think Vancouver thinks it's too cool. Calgary, we're too focused on making money, but yeah, it's something I've noticed here, and it's a really cool thing that you know, you never know what you're going to find around the next corner. So it's probably impossible to spend any time. It's pretty well impossible to spend any amount of time in Montreal, I think, without bumping into a church. It reminds me a lot of Rome in that way, and each church is historically significant. So this is Marie Reine du Monde, Mary Queen of the World. I'm not sure if it's a basilica or a cathedral. I think it's a basilica. Pretty sure there's 4 basilicas here in Montreal. There's this one, St. Patrick's, Notre Dame, and there's Le Roi Trois Saint Joseph, the Oratory of Saint Joseph, which is far and away the most beautiful one here, I think. Everyone seems to like Notre Dame the best. This one here is beautiful inside. It's actually breathtaking. There's some really cool artwork, old artwork. Really interesting sculpture of John Paul II. And it reminds me very much of churches in Rome. The oratory, which I don't expect to get to this trip, it's beautiful in its own way. For me, very emotional, very special, given my father's devotion to Brother Andre. I don't know that I'm going to get a chance to go in there. That's where I'm working tomorrow. Head office here for Sun Life. It's a building. It was built over 100 years ago, I think by Matthew Gault, who might be significant in Canadian history, but I don't know. So it wasn't on the employee orientation, to be honest. But the interesting thing that I noticed about this basilica, this trip, you know, just being a couple months removed from Rome, is the facade. And in going around Rome, that's all you saw was facades. And really, what is Catholicism, what is Christianity but a facade, wherein there is this universal expression of love, this continuous expression of God and creation that exists throughout human history, and it's just been Christianized, where, you know, you can look at all the various pagan cultures that were, the beliefs were assumed, much like the Romans did, where they would assume cultures into their empire. Roman Catholicism is much different, and it's something I've thought a lot about. So this is the Hotel Queen Elizabeth. Give peace a chance. Looks like they have a exhibit going on. The reason that they have the exhibit is because way back when, this is where John Lennon and Yoko Ono did their sit-in. I stayed here once. It's really nice inside, but like most Fairmont hotels, the rooms are very small. Across the way here is, I'm pretty sure it's called Place Ville-Marie, PVM for short. RBC, whom I used to work for. A lot of our operations were there, so I was constantly calling into there. I'm super lost. I don't have a clue where I am, really. I mean, it sounds like I do, but I gotta go that way, is all I know. 4 stops on the metro. I was given instructions by the concierge at the hotel. The metro station was 1 block away, but I walked 5 blocks and I don't know where I am. And I'm gonna go figure this out, and we'll see what more adventures happen in Montreal. Right, so another basilica, about 3 blocks away from where. So it's near the basilica, about 3 blocks away from Marie Rendimont. Here is St. Patrick's, or the backside. I should know. I used to know the word for that. Just putting my windsock on. So I used to know the word for the backside of the basilica. It's not the nave. Maybe it is. I don't know. Whatever. So the reason there's an Irish basilica here is after the potato famine, there was a lot of Irish people who came here to Montreal, to Quebec, and it's not unusual to find Irish names. So, you know, it's not just pure here in Quebec, there's also Irish and Scottish folks here. So, you know, it's just part of the Irish diaspora that some of us belong to. I think I'm 5 or 6 generations removed myself. My family went first to Birmingham and then north to Scotland, and eventually here, 65 years ago, to Canada. So, yeah, I think Notre Dame's to the right, but I'm not going there. Another interesting thing that I'm noticing about Montreal: queer couples everywhere, more so than I've ever seen in Toronto, or, you know, outside of Commercial Drive and Denman and Davie, even Vancouver. You know, people aren't afraid here to display affection for each other, and it feels like a very queer-friendly, safe environment. I have had a couple of looks, you know, those second glances. None that have made me uncomfortable, though. So, yeah, I didn't find the metro station. I looked it up. 600 meters away. I blew right by it, which is fine. So I'm just gonna walk over to where I'm meeting my friend. Based on Google, it's another 10-minute walk, and you know what? It's a nice night, and I'm just enjoying the sights and sounds of downtown Montreal. It's not as busy as Toronto, but I just might not be in the right part of downtown for that. So, yeah, anyhow, more to come. So I'm in Emily Gamelin Park. It's a really cool little place. It's got some community greenhouses. People hanging out, having a good time. And, yeah, some people hanging out, having a good time. And it's just got a cool little vibe to it here in the middle of the street. So Montreal had the Biodome with Expo 67, 68, I can't remember, whenever it was, but I keep seeing them all over town. And that's pretty cool. And I'm walking into the gay village now, and the reason I wanted to come here was because there's an art installation that's only up for another week. It's been here for 10 years and it's coming down on the 23rd, and so I think it's pretty cool. I get to see this thing. I don't know what it's called, but there's these balls hanging up in the air, and it's really spectacular. And I feel so sorry for the people of Montreal that they're losing this incredible piece of art. Anyhow, I'm gonna go walk around a little bit and check it out. So as far as I can see, it's just rainbow balls and thumbs up from folks. It's really striking. There's people everywhere. It's beautiful in a way I didn't expect. Like, it's breathtaking. Maybe a kilometer of these colored balls, all in the shape of the rainbow, all in the colors of the rainbows. Rainbow flags everywhere. And pedestrian, all pedestrian. It seems it's really cool to be here. And I know my camera's not quite picking the colors up, but there you go. As far as you can see. And there's a bridge. At this Barbie exhibit here in Montreal, I've seen signs for it all over town. And it's pretty cool, you know, Scotland Barbie, Ireland Barbie, Japan Barbie, all sorts of Barbies. The thing with Barbie is, like, for me, it plays a real key role in my early sense of gender identity and dysphoria. My sister had a lot of Barbies, and I used to play with her until one day when I was 4 or 5, my dad pulled me aside and said, "Boys don't do that." And I never played with her again, and instead what I started to do was destroy her Barbies.
You want to get in? Here, get in the booth.
Here. I'm recording a video.
You want to get in the booth?
You want,
Barbie box.
Barbie. Oh, I get it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, just take a video.
I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Assistant videographer all the way from Moncton, New Brunswick. And so the thing with Barbie and my dad, and you know, it was an abrupt end to, you know, something that I could relate to. I saw something in it reflecting my inner sense of who I was out to me. Hudson's Bay Barbie, complete with the smallpox blanket. And it's not like I had a hang up about it, but it's just interesting, like, being in Montreal, dealing with the thoughts that I'm dealing with, just with regards to dysphoria, bottom surgery, the bureaucratic issues going on back in Alberta with regards to approval processes being changed all of a sudden. It's interesting just to randomly come across this Barbie museum. It's really cool, and I've never seen so many Barbies in my life. So if you're in Montreal, check this exhibit out, you might like it. So the trip has been very interesting here in Montreal. Just thinking about it from a bunch of different angles. A lot on my mind. A lot of it dysphoric. You know, just thinking about what the purpose of my next trip here will be, or, you know, combined with all the uncertainty I'm flying back into with regards to approvals. Wondering if I need to get into another wait list for another year and a half. It really hasn't been an easy trip. Dealing with divorce stuff unexpectedly. And on the same hand, it's also been very productive. A few days of highly focused meetings, connection with colleagues, a lot of really good engagement, good learning, peer exchange, that sort of stuff. So the challenge today isn't so much vlogging in public, but vlogging in heels. And, you know, I was thinking last night, I was out for drinks with my coworkers and really my friends, whom I've known for years now, in some cases for 7 years, worked with them. And, you know, 2 or 3 times a year we get together at different places around the country and we talk. We've gone through marriages, we've gone through divorces, births, deaths, and I'm glad I can lean on them. And so last night, you know, we're all sitting there and I was asked why I was so quiet. Because it's not that I'm loud, but I'm certainly engaged usually. So I just said what was on my mind. Kind of flippantly maybe, but no less reflective of what I was thinking. And I just shared that I'm thinking about how the next time I come to Montreal is for surgery. I flippantly said, I'm thinking about how this is where my dick comes to die. And it's true. But it's not just a body part. And I've obviously already crossed the point of no return. Like, the physical changes are all irreversible at this point. But more importantly, the mental changes are as well. And I could never imagine going back or wanting to go back. So, like, there's no question for me that it's gonna happen. And it's certainly not a matter of second guessing myself or pre-surgery regrets. Although I am filled with anxiety about the actual surgery, because it is invasive and massive, significant. But there's a grief involved. A grief for a life that is gone. And for a life that will never be. But I think the mistake I made early on in transition was suggesting that my male self was dead. And, you know, I think that's a false statement. Because I was never male, and I realize that now. And I spent too long standing at that grave, helping others bury that person. Where really I was just evolving. Being born, coming alive. My shell was broken. And so the grief, I think, acknowledges that and recognizes that that was an important part of my life. A part of my life I needed and learned from. But also a part of my life that I could never go back to. Nor would I. So I feel, as I wrap up here and head to the airport, I also feel a sense of closure coming to Montreal. Knowing that ostensibly, as things stand now, the next time I'm here is for surgery. And I feel ready. I feel empowered. I feel confident. And what the last 2 years have given me, more than the previous 38 or the previous 40 is hope. So it's been a good trip, professionally, personally, and I guess worth coming across the country for. So I hope all these clips make sense and that you've enjoyed this video. If so, please like, subscribe, and share. And here's to life.